feeling that deep love, having somebody to laugh with, having somebody that just deeply cares about me and has that beautiful, intimate connection. So I kept cultivating that feeling inside of me as if I had it right now. The more we can feel the having it, the quicker it comes.
Welcome to part three of this wonderful interview with Junie Moon, love and relationship expert. Junie, thanks again for joining us. So, we are talking about magnetizing our soulmate. In the first part, we talked about how to attract one soulmate. In the second part, we talked about doing the inner shadow work to basically clear our field of all these programs that do not serve us. In part three, I want to talk with you about trusting the process, trusting that there is some destiny in our journey from good lovers and bad lovers to hopefully find a great one.
Yeah, yeah. When I think about trusting and the journey, the word that keeps coming up for me is surrendering. To really allow things to show up as they show up. And it doesn't mean just throwing your hands up and going, all right, whatever happens, happens, but to co conspire, to co create with the universe or God or whatever you want to call it, to have the love life that you desire. And that may or may not be with a partner, but to have that deep love. But being that we're talking about magnetizing one's soulmate, one's partner, there is something to be said about opening and allowing things to unfold in perfect time. Because when we try so hard and we push ourselves, that's such a different energy. When we can just relax and enjoy the ride, that energy is going to translate very differently with not only how we're feeling, but who we attract.
So it feels that you are in some ways having a relationship with God. And here I want to say God, with just these three letters so that anyone listening can put their own, spiritual path in there. But somehow create a conversation. That didn't work. This is what I want. Oh, it feels right now that grieving is what I should be doing before attempting dating again. Is that correct?
I think that deep listening of wherever you are is paramount, like really honoring where you're at. I mean, if you're in grief, that's a heavy energy. And to rise up and be happy, that like and I believe strongly you could have both, but if you're in deep grief, we need to listen to that. We need to let ourselves be in that process of mourning, of letting go. Uh, yeah, to create space for the light to show back up. With that said, there's something about honoring wherever you are, whatever's going on, and then again, taking your hands off the wheel. I mean, all last year, I went really deep into Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and I was meditating, and I still am, every day to connect to the fullness, the wholeness, the oneness of all things. Call it God, call it spirit, whatever you want. And in that place, it really is everything is perfect. Everything is here. And planting that intention of I'm looking or desiring my partner, and then feeling my partner here, feeling his presence, feeling that deep connection. It wasn't a checklist, it wasn't he has to look a certain way. It was feeling that deep love, having somebody to laugh with, having somebody that just deeply cares about me and has that beautiful, intimate connection. So I kept cultivating that feeling inside of me as if I had it right now, because that is law of attraction, that is neuroscience, whatever you want to call it, quantum physics. When we can truly know that we have it right now, even if we don't necessarily have it, then we can just trust and allow it to show up in God's time.
Please say more about how to learn to feel that person we are longing for. Please say more.
There's so much information about quantum physics that says that how we're feeling, the universe will match it. So if we're feeling neediness, if we're feeling empty or lonely, then that energy is going to keep creating that reality. So, well, first, let me just say we got to still do the inner work and figure out why are we feeling lonely? What happens? And shift that. Get some new messages, new beliefs, new experiences to
Yeah,
like,
because if the soup doesn't taste good, he or she will not want to join.
yeah, I mean, it's to me, it's a yes and. I mean, I love Dr. Joe's work, I really do, and there's some deep seated shit that people have gone through, you know, uh, and so we can be in this alignment and all that. But if there's been a lot of trauma, if there's been a lot of heartache and heartbreak and loss and things like that, sometimes, you know, it's like affirmations. They can only go so far if there's some stuff in the unconscious mind. So what I offer to people is there's special processes that I do as a shadow worker that help people feel stronger within themselves, more hopeful, more confident, that deeper belief of how worthy they are, and help their hearts open more and feel safe. So to do that inner work to get to that place is so important. So that's one piece, but the other piece that I wanted to just underline, which is what I was saying before, is to then really sit in the having it, not in the I don't have, but in the having it. Even the energy of longing means you don't have it. The universe is going to go, oh, she wants this, which means she doesn't have it. But to sit, because the brain is, we can, our imagination can create anything. And if we can close our eyes and breathe and feel the gratitude of having this person in our life, feel the love, feel the connection, feel the joy. Yes, it's make believe on some level, and yet the body goes for the ride, and then the universe is going, oh, she's in love. She's got this amazing person, and it just comes faster and faster. So that's the concept of becoming who you want to come into your life. Become the person of having it all, even if you don't have it just yet. And then it comes much more quickly. And that's what I see with my clients, and it certainly worked for me.
So I would love to stop for a second because I believe that longing is beautiful and that honoring our longing is extremely important. And what I'm hearing from you is we hold many parts at the same time. We hold our longing, we hold our sense of safety, we hold our sense of being met right now. There is someone who meets it. And as a result of sustaining all three, we somehow say, hey, I want this. I don't know what it is. And I feel safe and I feel loved and I feel whole. And then from that place, we magnetize.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, again, we're limited with language here.
Yeah.
I will say, though, that, and I say it all the time, having your North Star, this is what I desire. I long for that. I want that. I crave that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's your heart pulling you toward it. It's lovely. And with all that I've been studying and all that I'm experiencing, the more we can feel the having it, the quicker it comes.
For our listeners who are still very checklist driven, and there is nothing wrong about a checklist. Somehow it's important to have boundaries to know what we want. However, often checklists keep us in a judge mode versus the curiosity we were talking in part two. And so, how do you invite your clients to let go of the checklist, to feel their soulmate, to feel their beloved? Because most likely their beloved will not look like their checklist.
Yes, It's true. um, I had a client recently. She reached out to me and we were doing some work together, and I was looking at her profile, and I think she was like 5'6", maybe. And on her profile, she said she wanted someone 6'1" or taller. And I said, what if the most magical man that has your back, that you can laugh with, that you feel safe with, shows up, the list, all the good yummies. Uh, would it matter to you if he was 6'7", 6'8", 6'9"? Oh, excuse me, 5'7", 8 or 9? And she said, no. I said, well, good, because you just knocked out almost all of America saying 6'1". And within a couple of weeks, she met the man of her dreams. And he was shorter than her. She actually lowered the number even more than I even recommended. So I think it's really important to know your absolute deal breakers. Like, I would never date a smoker. I love smoking. Can't have it around me. So, no smoking. I was adamant that I didn't want any little kids. I'm done
Yep.
parenting. Don't want it. But unless it's the huge absolutely nots, I just invite people to go into what are the most important qualities that will make your heart sing. Do you feel relaxed with this person? Do you have the most important things in being compatible when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to money, when it comes to health and wellness? Yes, that might sound like a checklist, but it's really not. I invite people to get less granular and a bigger stroke of, yes, I want some, like, I'm very health minded and I eat almost all organic and, whole foods, and this and that and whatever. I'm an omnivore. So so someone who's a vegan, we may not mesh. And it could be very challenging if he wanted to just go to vegan restaurants, and I'd be like, well, that's not going to work for me and how I eat. So to stay open to finding somebody that is compatible in the most important ways, and to let go of the very granular, gotta look like this. Certainly the height, the with this, that, whatever, even age for that matter, to just lean in a little bit more, because at the end of the day, we just truly want somebody to match us in the most important ways, not the nitty gritty things.
So I read recently from Brené Brown that boundaries are the place in which I can love both you and me at the same time. It
Mm,
was so powerful for me to read that. And of course, I'm sure I'm quoting her improperly, but so
that's
what
right.
it feels is that you want to know your non negotiables because the non negotiables are the places you don't feel alive.
Yeah.
And so you can show up alive and curious and safe and trusting the process and let, divine will and timing do its work.
Absolutely. And so what beautifully said. And so many people, especially women, have real challenges with boundaries. We're women. We've been brought up in a certain way in our culture. And what I offer to everyone is boundaries are so healthy and powerful. And like you said, it's loving to both parties. If I let go of my boundary to enable, to support, to people please, then I'm not being very loving to myself, and I'm not being authentic to them or for myself. So to
Yeah.
be able to go, this doesn't work for me, is loving to me and letting the other person know this is where I draw the line in the sand. And then you can come together or not. But that's why it's important to have healthy boundaries and to do the work, to know who you are, to know what your boundaries are, and then to honor them, not have any wiggle room if it's a strong no or a strong yes.
So trusting the process, trusting divine timing and intervention. With Michael, I understand that in your own process, you told the universe, I'm going to make one more swipe. Was that a challenge to the universe or was that as an alignment?
It was a weird night. I just was like in this place of readiness, and it wasn't even a one more swipe. It wasn't like tonight's the night and I'm done. It was just I was ready and I was in a playful mood. And I was like, you know what? I have one rose. I have, I could keep swiping, but I'm like, no, I am just going to show up. And if the right person's there, I'm going to swipe. So no, I just was aligned. I was like saying to the universe, I'm ready. I'm open. But it wasn't like a threat to the universe or this is the end of the rope. I believe in love and I love relationships. So there was nothing stopping me. I just felt so deeply connected that night that I said, I'm going to swipe once. Let's see how it goes. And the rest is history.
Have you set a wedding date yet?
So there's this thing called hand fasting. Hand fasting is a Celtic tradition where, in fact, when we say tie the knot, it actually comes from that tradition.
Mm.
So many, many moons ago, you would have this rope and you would do a ceremony. You would tie your wrists together and you would tie the knot. So when we first got together, because there are important questions to go over in the beginning of a relationship, I asked him straight out, what do you think about marriage? How do you feel about getting married again? And he said, oh, I would get married again in a heartbeat. And I said, is it important to you? Because I'm actually not that interested in doing the legal thing. I was interested in hand fasting. And the concept of hand fasting is a year and a day. When you have the ceremony, it's a year and a day commitment. So I said, I'm interested in hand fasting. And he said, what is that? And I shared it. So on our anniversary, we were walking along the Hudson River. We sat down on a bench and he said, I have something for you. I've been doing some research about hand fasting. He had the rope and this beautiful rope that has a lot of meaning woven into it. And he asked for my hand with the most beautiful words during this mini ceremony, if you will. And so it's kind of weird because we're used to the paradigm of you ask someone to get married, then you're engaged, then you get married. For us, we're married. For us, that ceremony that we did, we committed our love. And so, will we ever do the real or non real or whatever paperwork thing that people do called marriage? Maybe, maybe not. But in that moment, we did the most beautiful commitment ceremony to each other. And at the end of it, I said, a year and a day. And then he said, forever and a day. And I said, yes. So that's how I view it. So I see us as married already.
Wonderful. Junie, I so enjoyed our three conversations. I am hoping that listeners get a lot from your aliveness, from your belief in love, from your trust in the process, and also from your surrendering into divine timing and your deep, deep intuition.
Thank you. This has been such a pleasure. I love talking with you and may my success in love and all my clients' success in love give more people not only hope but back into this journey of calling in the best extraordinary love life they can possibly have.
I hope this video will be as life-changing for you as it was for Junie. Please hit the like button below, subscribe, and hit the bell. I guarantee juicy content. Here are the links to part 1 and part 2 with my interview with Junie. And here are 2 videos I made for men and women to better learn, to understand, and appreciate each other.